This is the Ears Up English podcast. English that grows with you. Welcome to Ears Up English, where your listening becomes stronger and your speaking becomes smoother. If English still feels scary or stressful for you, don't worry. We're here to help you enjoy English without fear. Strong ears, strong English. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle.
And I'm Robert. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey Robert, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. A little tired, but in a good way. How about you?
Same, I'm kind of half awake, but I'm excited because this topic feels so current.
Yeah, it's one of those everyday things that can change your mood in 2 seconds.
Our theme today is being left on red something people deal with everywhere? Cultural differences and reply speed.
If you've ever sent a message and then stared at your phone like it was going to explain your life, this episode is for you.
And if you've ever thought, they saw it, so why didn't they reply? Yeah, same.
Same. That anxious feeling happens in lots of places. People naturally worry about being ignored.
But here's the key point. The meaning of being left on red changes a lot depending on culture, the messaging app, and the situation.
So today, we're going to compare a few countries and styles, and then we'll give you a super useful phrase you can use right away.
And that phrase is simple, natural, and very common.
Today's phrase is no rush.
2 words, but those 2 words can reduce pressure fast.
Let's build the background first.
There are 2 big factors. The first factor is whether read receipts are visible. The second factor is what reply speed people consider normal.
Because when read receipts are visible, your brain starts doing math.
Like, they read it at 2:07, it's 2:19 now. What does that mean?
And then suddenly you're writing a whole drama in your head.
Japan is a really good example of how an app can shape habits.
In Japan, line is huge and it clearly shows when a message is read.
So read can feel like they saw it just now.
And that can create pressure. If you read it, you should reply, right?
And if you don't reply, the other person might think, did I upset them? Was I rude? Are they trying to distance themselves?
So in Japan, being left on read can feel personal even when it's not.
And it can be even stronger in close relationships. Couples, best friends, family group chats, stuff like that.
Because the relationship is close, the expectations can get stronger.
Now let's compare that with the US.
In the US, people often use iMessage or SMS, and read receipts are optional.
A lot of people turn read receipts off.
So in many cases, you don't even know if they saw your message.
And because of that, people don't build the same read time story in their head.
Also, culturally, casual messages are often treated as lower pressure.
If it's not urgent, you reply when you can.
Now, is that always true? Not always.
Right, if you're dating someone new, reply speed can suddenly feel important.
And work messages are different too. People still expect a reasonable reply.
But for friends, a later reply is often normal. Now, let's talk about the UK.
Because people sometimes think English-speaking culture is one thing, but it's not.
Even inside English-speaking countries, the vibe can be different.
In the UK, people can be a little more reserved in messaging.
So replies can be slower, but it doesn't automatically mean something is wrong.
It can feel like I'll answer when I have time and when I can answer properly.
And there can also be this feeling of not wanting to bother people too much.
So if you message someone and they reply later, it can be completely normal. And if you reply later, it can be normal too.
So Japan might feel like quick reply shows care. The US might feel like reply when you can. And the UK might feel like reply when it makes sense, no pressure.
That's a simplification, but it helps.
Germany is another interesting case.
Yeah, because many people separate work time and personal time more clearly.
So if you message someone late at night, they might reply the next morning.
And if it's the weekend, they might reply on Monday, especially for work-related messages.
And it's not because they don't like you. It's more like that's not message time.
It's a boundary culture in a lot of ways, especially around time.
And honestly, that can be healthier. It helps people avoid being always on.
Now, China is another important example because WeChat is so common.
On WeChat, read status is not shown in the same obvious way as some other apps.
So the whole read on read stress can feel different.
Because you can't always prove they saw it.
So instead of focusing on read or not, people often focus more on content and outcome.
Like, did we decide the plan? Did we solve the problem? That kind of thing.
Of course, people still get annoyed if someone disappears.
Right, ghosting exists everywhere.
But the emotional pattern changes when read is not a loud signal.
And we should also mention Korea briefly too.
Yeah, because Kakao Talk is very common and people notice read status strongly.
So, like Japan, that can create pressure to reply quickly depending on the relationship.
So if we put it all together, we can save this.
The anxious feeling can happen anywhere, but the rules are not the same.
And that's why misunderstandings happen so easily across cultures.
Let's imagine a simple situation. A Japanese person messages a British friend and there's no reply for hours.
The Japanese person might think, oh no, did I do something wrong?
But the British friend might be thinking, I'll reply later when I'm free, or I want to reply properly, not quickly.
Same situation, different meaning.
And now imagine the opposite. An American person messages a Japanese friend with something casual. The American replies whenever, but the Japanese friend might feel pressure and think, I need to reply now.
That's where stress builds.
Okay, so what do we do with this?
This is the solution part. We want to make your life easier, not harder.
First, we need a mindset shift.
Here it is. Slow replies are not always emotional. Sometimes they're just practical.
People are working, they're commuting, they're cooking, they're taking care of kids, they're tired.
And sometimes they see your message and think, I can't reply properly right now, so they wait.
And that can actually be a sign of respect. They want to give you a real reply.
Second, we can use language to lower pressure.
And this is where today's phrase becomes powerful.
No rush.
It means you don't need to hurry. You can reply later.
It's like telling the other person, I'm not testing you, I'm not judging you.
It also shows maturity. It says, I understand life is busy.
One small warning, no rush does not mean never reply.
It still expects a normal reply, but without stress.
And that's why it's so useful in international communication.
If you're messaging someone from a different culture, no rush is like a safety cushion.
It softens expectations.
Let's give a few quick examples of no rush in real life.
Example 1. You send a friend a question. Are you free this weekend? Then you add, no rush.
That makes it friendly, not demanding.
Example 2. A work message. Can you check this when you have time? No rush.
It's polite and it shows you respect their workload.
Example 3. You send a second message because you forgot something. You can add, by the way, no rush, so it doesn't feel like pressure.
And here's another helpful point for English learners.
In English, short phrases like this often matter more than long explanations.
Many Japanese learners feel they need a perfect message, perfect grammar, perfect tone, perfect everything.
But a short phrase that sets a good mood can sound more natural.
All right, so now let's listen to today's dialogue.
Hey Kaori, sorry, I just saw your message. It's been a busy morning.
Oh, no worries, no rush. I figured you were probably busy.
Thanks, I appreciate that. So what's up?
I just wanted to confirm tomorrow. Are we still on for 3 p.m.?
Yes, 3 p.m. still works. And thanks again for being flexible.
Of course. No rush, seriously. If something changes, just let me know.
Will do. Actually, I might be 5 or 10 minutes late. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. No rush. Just message me when you're on your way.
Perfect. And hey, I'm glad you said that. Sometimes I feel pressure to reply fast.
Same. In Japan, read can feel like a deadline, so I'm trying to be more relaxed about it.
That makes sense. I'll do my best to reply, but thanks for the no rush.
Anytime. Talk later.
Okay, that was a very natural conversation.
Yeah, I think many listeners will recognize that situation.
One thing I liked was that no one over-apologized.
Exactly. In Japanese, people often start with a long apology when replies are late.
But in this dialogue, the reason was short and the conversation moved on quickly.
And the key phrase was no rush.
That phrase immediately softens the atmosphere.
It clearly says, I'm not blaming you. I'm not pushing you.
In English conversations, short phrases like this are often more important than long explanations.
And no rush never sounds bossy or superior.
That's another key point. It sounds neutral and respectful.
Without no rush, the conversation might have turned into, I'm sorry, no, it's okay, I'm really sorry.
And then it ends there, with awkward feelings.
But with no rush, they quickly returned to the main topic.
Also, did you notice how no rush was used more than once?
Yeah, and that's realistic. In real life, we repeat small phrases to set the mood.
Kaori used it to reduce pressure as a tone for the whole conversation.
And that matches the cultural point we talked about. Different places have different expectations about reply speed.
In Japan and Korea, read status can create pressure. In the US, it can be more relaxed.
In the UK, it can be calm and reserved.
In Germany, time boundaries can be strong.
In China, if read status is not obvious, the stress pattern changes.
So when you talk with people internationally, you can't assume your rules are their rules.
And that's why a phrase like no rush is so powerful. It protects the relationship.
From an English learning point of view, this is great news.
You don't need perfect grammar or long explanations.
Just knowing a phrase like no rush can make your English sound much more natural.
And it can make communication much easier.
All right, let's listen to today's dialogue one more time.
Hey, Kaori. Sorry, I just saw your message. It's been a busy morning.
Oh, no worries, no rush. I figured you were probably busy.
Thanks, I appreciate that. So, what's up?
I just wanted to confirm tomorrow. Are we still on for 3 p.m.?
Yes, 3 p.m. still works. And thanks again for being flexible.
Of course. No rush, seriously. If something changes, just let me know.
Will do. Actually, I might be 5 or 10 minutes late. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. No rush. Just message me when you're on your way.
Perfect. And hey, I'm glad you said that. Sometimes I feel pressure to reply fast.
Same. In Japan, red can feel like a deadline, so I'm trying to be more relaxed about it.
That makes sense. I'll do my best to reply, but thanks for the no rush.
Anytime. Talk later.
So today, we talked about how reply speed differs by culture and why being left on red feels different depending on app and expectations.
The key takeaway is this. Your expectations are not always the other person's expectations.
And in English, there are many phrases that lower pressure naturally.
Today's phrase was no rush. All right, everyone, that's today's episode of Ears Up English. Strong ears, strong English. Keep training your ears every day. Try the phrase from today's episode and see how it changes your conversations. We'd love to hear how it works for you. And if you enjoy our podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode. Join us again next time for more friendly, everyday English. Take care and keep your ears up. Bye!
This is the Ears Up English podcast. English that grows with you. Welcome to Ears Up English, where your listening becomes stronger and your speaking becomes smoother. If English still feels scary or stressful for you, don't worry. We're here to help you enjoy English without fear. Strong ears, strong English. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Robert. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Robert. How are you today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good, too. And you know, it's almost that time of year in Japan. The biggest comedy Grand Prix, the one that happens once a year, is about to start.
Yeah, that season is back. It really feels like the mood in the country shifts a bit.
Right? When you turn on the TV, there are more comedy shows. On social media, everyone's talking about jokes, routines, and who was funny.
In Japan, comedy isn't just entertainment. It almost feels like a seasonal event.
Exactly. And it made me think, maybe this kind of excitement happens because it's Japan.
Yeah, I get that. If people from overseas watch the same show, they might think, wait, why is this funny?
That's exactly it. So today, we're talking about differences in humor.
We'll focus mainly on Japan and the US, and we'll look at a few other countries.
And today's key phrase is this.
It went over my head.
If you translate it directly, it sounds like something passed over your head. But in real life, it means you didn't understand something, especially a joke or a comment.
It's a really useful phrase when humor doesn't land.
Let's start with Japanese comedy.
One thing about Japanese comedy is that the structure is very clear.
Right. The classic example is boke and tsukomi.
You know who is setting up the joke and who is reacting to it.
And Japanese TV shows give a lot of support to the audience.
Text on the screen, sound effects, and big reactions.
The show clearly tells you this is the funny part.
So even if it's your first time watching, you can usually follow along.
Japanese comedy also focuses a lot on sharing the atmosphere.
Everyone watches together and laughs at the same timing.
The reactions from other people on the show are part of the joke too.
It's not just the comedians, the whole environment creates the humor.
That gives a lot of comfort to the audience.
Even if you don't fully get it, you can tell when you're supposed to laugh.
On the other hand, that also means the humor depends a lot on context and atmosphere. If you think about it, Japanese comedy is actually very kind to the audience.
Yeah, it's designed so that many different people can enjoy it.
Kids, adults, people who are tired after work, you don't have to think too hard.
Making something easy to understand is actually really hard.
Exactly. Timing, reactions, editing, everything is carefully planned.
It really feels like a team sport.
Everyone works together to create one laugh.
That's very different from American comedy, which often feels more individual.
And comedy is deeply part of everyday life in Japan.
There's a huge comedy competition once a year, and the whole country talks about it.
Comedians can become national figures.
From an overseas perspective, that's actually pretty rare.
So it's okay to be proud of Japanese comedy.
Now let's talk about American comedy.
One big difference is that it doesn't explain itself.
Right, even if you don't get the joke, the show keeps going.
Stand-up comedy is especially important in the US.
One person on stage talking about their own experiences and views.
The audience laughs if they relate to that perspective.
That means background knowledge really matters.
Sitcoms and sketches are similar.
Sarcasm, hidden meanings, and references to past situations.
Sometimes it feels like if you get it, you get it.
For English learners, this can be really hard.
You know it's probably a joke, but you don't really understand it.
That's when this phrase is helpful.
It went over my head.
It doesn't mean your English is bad, it just means the context was different.
So far, we've compared Japan and the US.
But English humor isn't only American.
Even in English-speaking countries, the style can change a lot.
Some humor is much quieter and harder to notice.
A famous example is British humor.
Dry humor.
People say something serious without changing their facial expression.
They don't explain the joke or show you when to laugh.
Even native speakers sometimes wonder if it was a joke.
That's why it's often used as an example when talking about humor that's hard to catch.
But the UK isn't the only case.
Canada is closer to the US, but the tone is often softer.
Australia can be very casual, and teasing gets stronger as people get closer.
Across countries, one thing is the same.
Humor is part of culture, not just language. So what should you do when you don't get a joke?
First of all, you don't have to force yourself to laugh.
Fake laughter is easier to notice than people think.
This is where this phrase comes in.
It went over my head.
It doesn't sound rude. It doesn't sound ignorant.
It doesn't blame the other person.
And saying you didn't get it can actually make the conversation better.
Small talk and jokes aren't tests.
They're about sharing the moment.
All right, so now let's listen to today's dialogue.
That meeting yesterday was way too long. It felt like a director's cut of a movie.
Sorry, what do you mean?
I mean, it was longer than it needed to be.
Oh, I see. At first, I didn't realize it was a joke. It went over my head.
That's totally fine. English jokes can be tricky.
Yeah, it's really different from Japanese humor.
Honestly, Japanese comedy goes over my head sometimes too.
That actually makes me feel better.
That dialogue feels very real.
Ben's joke uses a cultural reference.
If you don't know that phrase, it's hard to catch.
Kaori doesn't pretend to laugh.
She's honest and relaxed.
And it went over my head is the key.
She's not saying Ben made a bad joke. She's just saying it was difficult for her.
That keeps the mood comfortable.
And Ben responds with empathy.
Now the joke becomes something they share.
In real life, this happens a lot at work.
A lot of people just smile and stay quiet.
But that doesn't really help the conversation.
If you say it went over my head, it can lead to an explanation or even a small connection.
Yeah, and the way you say it matters too. When you say it, keep it casual. It went over my head.
Exactly. Say it lightly like it's no big deal.
And that's what we talked about today. Different countries laugh in different ways.
Not getting a joke is not a failure.
Not getting a joke just means the culture was different.
And that's why today's phrase is so useful.
All right, everyone, that's today's episode of Ears Up English. Strong ears, strong English. Keep training your ears every day.
Try the phrase from today's episode and see how it changes your conversations. We'd love to hear how it works for you.
And if you enjoy our podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode. Join us again next time for more friendly everyday English. Take care and keep your ears up.
Bye.
This is the Ears Up English podcast. English that grows with you. Welcome to Ears Up English, where your listening becomes stronger and your speaking becomes smoother. If English still feels scary or stressful for you, don't worry. We're here to help you enjoy English without fear. Strong ears, strong English. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Robert. Thanks for joining us today.
So, Robert, before we really get into today's topic, I feel like this is one of those episodes where people might think, oh, this sounds kind of serious, but it's actually very everyday. I mean, it's about those small moments when your English is fine, your words are fine, but somehow the conversation just feels a little off.
Yeah, I totally get that. That moment when everything sounds okay to you, but the mood changes and you start wondering, wait, did I do something wrong just now?
Exactly. And later, maybe on the train home or something, you replay the conversation in your head and think, was my English strange, or did I say something rude without knowing it?
And honestly, a lot of the time, it's not really about English at all.
Right. It's more about the topic, or maybe the timing, or even how the topic came up.
Yeah, it's kind of about distance in conversation.
That's a good word for it. Distance. How close you get and how fast. So today we want to talk about taboo topics, mainly looking at the US, and also how to avoid those awkward moments, especially when you're talking to people you've just met.
And just to say this clearly, we're not trying to say this is right or this is wrong.
Yeah, this isn't a rule book.
It's more like, why did that feel uncomfortable and how could it feel easier next time?
Exactly. So maybe the best place to start is by clearing up one big misunderstanding. A taboo topic doesn't mean something you must never talk about.
Yeah, especially in the US, it's not that simple. In some cultures, people quietly avoid certain topics, by reading the room.
Right. You kind of feel, oh, we don't go there.
But in the US, people often care less about the topic itself and more about personal space and conversation.
Not physical space, but conversational space.
Exactly. It's like, are you getting close too fast, even if the topic sounds normal?
So a lot of the time, the problem isn't the topic. It's the timing, the distance, and who you're talking to.
Yeah, and if that feels confusing, that's completely normal.
Totally. Most people struggle with this at first, especially in another language. Now, there's another thing that can make conversations uncomfortable, even when the topic itself seems okay. And that's how we talk about culture.
Yeah, this part is really important. Sometimes the way we explain culture can make people uncomfortable without us realizing it.
For example, saying something like, Americans are like this. People usually don't mean anything bad. They're just trying to explain quickly.
Right, but the person listening might think, well, that doesn't really feel like me.
Exactly, because people are all different.
There's no single type of person.
Another phrase that can sound tricky is, in Japan, this is normal, but depending on what comes next, that can sound like a judgment.
Yeah, and the mood can change pretty fast.
The same thing happens when we decide what is right or wrong. Even saying something like, that's rude or that's wrong can shut the conversation down.
Even if the information itself is correct.
Right. Culture isn't really black and white. It's more about situations and context.
So softer language really helps.
Yeah, phrases like, some people feel this way, or it depends on the situation.
And it also helps to make the subject smaller.
Instead of saying, Americans are, you can say, some people here.
That alone makes things feel safer.
Because the goal isn't to win an argument. It's to make a space where people feel okay talking.
And when that happens, English actually feels easier too.
Okay, with that idea in mind, let's talk about some well-known taboo topics, things most people already know can be sensitive in the US.
Yeah, the classic ones.
Money, politics, and religion. Especially at work or with people you've just met, these topics can feel heavy.
Politics and religion often connect to personal values.
So even a small comment can create distance. Money is similar. Questions about salary, savings, or debt can feel like judgment, even if that's not the intention.
Because people's situations are very personal.
Up to this point, none of this is very surprising. But the really tricky topics are different. They don't look like taboos at first.
Yeah, everyday topics.
A big one is appearance. This is where misunderstandings happen a lot, because people usually mean it as a compliment. Things like saying someone has thin legs, fair skin, or a small face.
In Japan, those are often very positive comments.
But in the US, talking about someone's body can feel uncomfortable, even if you mean it in a kind way.
People might start thinking, why are you looking at my body?
And skin color is especially sensitive. It can connect to history and identity.
Another interesting example is a small face.
Yeah, that compliment doesn't really translate into English. Some people might feel confused or misunderstand it completely.
So a safer option is to compliment decisions, things the person chose.
Their clothes, their style, or the colors they're wearing.
That feels more respectful.
And if you think about it, this is really about protecting distance. Compliments don't have to get closer. They can stay gentle.
Just knowing that already changes how you talk.
Another area where the feeling can be very different is age. In some cultures, age helps organize relationships. It gives structure.
Same age, senior, junior.
But in the US, people don't usually ask about age casually. Even resumes don't include age.
So asking can feel unnecessary or even confusing.
And again, this isn't about being right or wrong. It's about timing. Relationships are similar. Asking if someone has a boyfriend or girlfriend can feel casual, but for many people, it's very personal.
And you don't always know someone's situation.
Or who they're attracted to. That's why the word partner is often safer.
But in many first conversations, you don't need to ask at all.
When you look at all of these topics together, they point to one thing. People don't like to be pushed too fast.
Especially at the beginning.
And this connects to silence. Silence can feel really uncomfortable, especially in another language.
So people try to fill it.
Often with personal questions.
which can feel like pressure.
But silence isn't failure. It can be calm. It can be respectful.
And sometimes it even makes you sound confident.
So then the question becomes, what should we talk about instead? And honestly, it doesn't have to be complicated. You can just talk about what's around you.
Yeah, things you're both seeing or experiencing.
Weather is always an easy one. You might say something simple like, "It got really cold today," or "I didn't expect it to rain."
That kind of comment is nice because it doesn't put pressure on anyone.
The place you're in works the same way. You might casually say, "This place is really nice," or "The view here is amazing."
And then from there, it can flow naturally. Not like an interview, just curiosity.
Exactly. Something like, "Have you been here before?" or "Is this your first time here?" Not as a script, just as part of the moment.
Food is another safe one.
Yeah, you can just share what you notice. "This is really good," or "That looks great. What did you get?" You're not collecting information, you're sharing the moment. And silence is still okay. You don't need to rush to fill every gap.
When you keep that in mind, conversation feels much easier.
So if we had to leave you with one idea today, it would be this. Taboo topics aren't really about rules. They're about distance.
And how gently you move,
If you remember that, your conversations will feel lighter.
even with simple English.
All right, everyone. That's today's episode of Ears Up English. Strong ears, strong English. Keep training your ears every day. Try the idea from today's episode and see how it changes your conversations. We'd love to hear how it works for you. And if you enjoy our podcasts, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode. Join us again next time for more friendly, everyday English. Take care and keep your ears up. Bye!
This is the Ears Up English podcast. English that grows with you. Welcome to Ears Up English, where your listening becomes stronger and your speaking becomes smoother. If English still feels scary or stressful for you, don't worry. We're here to help you enjoy English without fear. Strong ears, strong English. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle. I hope you're doing well today. Hey, Robert. How are you doing these days? This time of year always feels a little different to me.
Hey, Michelle, I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for asking. I know what you mean, though. As the year ends, things slow down for some people, but for others, it feels strangely busy.
Yeah, I feel that too. People sometimes think everyone feels the same just because it's New Year's. But when you actually talk to people from different countries, you notice the mood can be totally different. It's like you expect one shared feeling, and then you realize there are many different New Years out there.
Yeah, I felt that in real conversations too. You ask one person about New Year's, and they immediately talk about family time and going home. Then you ask someone else, and they talk about fireworks, friends, and going out at night. So even the same question can lead to completely different stories.
That's why today felt like a good day for this topic. We wanted to look at how people spend this season in different places. One big difference is whether New Year's is the biggest event of the year or not. In Japan, it often feels like a main moment when everything slows down and the whole atmosphere changes.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Shops close, work stops, and people take a breath and reset. But in the US, New Year's matters, and still it doesn't always feel like the main holiday for many people. For many people, the biggest family holidays come earlier in the season.
Right. For a lot of people, Thanksgiving or Christmas feels more important. Those are the days when family gathering feels almost expected, like you should try to be there if you can. So New Year's can feel more open depending on the person.
Exactly, and because of that, New Year's doesn't always come with the same pressure to gather with family. That difference changes how people talk about their plans and even how they answer simple questions. Some people sound excited about going out and others sound excited about staying in.
In some parts of Europe, New Year's feels completely different again. It's much more about going out, meeting friends, and sharing the moment together at midnight. Even if they are with family earlier in the day, the countdown itself can feel more social.
Yeah, people head into the city, count down together, and celebrate outside with a crowd. In those cases, it's less about family and more about who you want to be with at midnight. So the focus is more on the group you choose than the family you belong to.
That's where today's phrase fits really naturally. When someone asks if something is a family event, people often say something like, "It's more of a family thing." It sounds soft and friendly, and it doesn't make your answer feel like a speech.
I really like that phrasing because it sounds relaxed. It shows the direction, but it doesn't sound strict or final. That's why it works so well for Japanese New Year's, which is usually calm and quiet for a lot of people. But of course, not every country uses New Year's in the same way, and that's where things get interesting.
On the other hand, in some parts of South America or Europe, New Year's often centers more on friends or partners. Family time might still matter, but it often happens on a different day.
So even a simple question like who you spend New Year's with can mean very different things. That's why these conversations can feel slightly awkward at first.
Another big difference is what people actually do during that time. In Japan, many people eat quietly, watch TV, and visit shrines.
When you describe that to people from other countries, they're often surprised, and when Japanese people spend New Year's abroad, it can feel much louder and busier than expected.
Neither way is better or worse. It's just culture showing up in everyday habits.
And some countries don't treat New Year's as anything special at all. People might work as usual or see it as just another weekend.
Another thing that's easy to miss is that New Year's isn't the main celebration everywhere. For example, in countries like China, Lunar New Year is the real highlight.
Late December and early January can feel pretty normal there, but once Lunar New Year arrives, everything shifts at once.
People take long holidays, travel at the same time, and gather with family. It's big enough to change the entire mood of the country.
So if you only look at New Year's, you might misunderstand what really matters. You need to know when the real highlight of the year actually happens.
When you look at all these differences, it feels like there's no single style for New Year's. It really depends on place, people, and priorities.
Yeah, and that's what makes it interesting. If you ever get the chance, spending New Year's abroad can be surprisingly eye-opening.
It might feel totally different from Japan, or it might feel unexpectedly ordinary. Either way, it often changes how you see your own New Year afterward.
All right, with that in mind, let's listen to today's dialogue. As you listen, pay attention to how simple the answers are and how natural the tone feels.
You might hear someone ask something like, "What are you doing for New Year's?" And the other person might answer in a very relaxed way.
Hey, Corey, what are you doing for New Year's this year? Are you staying in town or are you going somewhere?
Nothing special, really. It's more of a family thing. I'll probably just spend time at home and keep things pretty quiet.
Oh, I see. So no big parties or anything like that? It sounds pretty calm, actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really about events for me. I just like having a slow and peaceful start to the year.
That conversation feels very natural to me. Ben's question is a really common way to start small talk this time of year. New Year's works a bit like the weather as a topic, so you can bring it up casually and it still works.
Yeah, and Kaori's answer does a great job of setting the mood. She says nothing special, but you can still imagine the situation clearly. Saying, "I'm doing nothing" can sound cold sometimes, but this one doesn't at all.
The key point is that she doesn't over-explain. If she started describing every custom, the conversation would suddenly feel heavy. If she went into a long description of Japanese customs, the conversation would start to sound like a presentation.
And that's where today's phrase really helps. It's more of a family thing, sounds soft and open, so the listener feels comfortable following up. It also gives you room to add one small detail if you want, without sounding like you are defending yourself.
If you said, "It's a family event," it would sound much stiffer.
This version leaves room for different situations like visiting relatives or just staying home. So even in a short dialogue like this, you can see more than plans, and you can also see relationships and personal priorities.
I also like Ben's follow-up question. It shows interest without judging, which is important when cultures are different.
If you use this phrase yourself, you can keep it simple and natural, and you don't need to explain a lot.
Short answers like that aren't rude at all. They actually sound very natural in everyday conversation.
All right, let's listen to the dialogue one more time and focus on the tone this time.
Hey, Corey, what are you doing for New Year's this year? Are you staying in town or are you going somewhere?
Nothing special, really. It's more of a family thing. I'll probably just spend time at home and keep things pretty quiet.
Oh, I see. So no big parties or anything like that? It sounds pretty calm, actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really about events for me. I just like having a slow and peaceful start to the year.
People often think New Year's is universal, but it really isn't. What people do and who they spend it with can change a lot depending on the country.
That's why this topic works so well for casual conversation. And if you try today's phrase, it can make your answers feel lighter and more natural. All right, everyone, that's today's episode of Ears Up English. Strong ears, strong English. Keep training your ears every day. Try the phrase from today's episode and see how it changes your conversations. We'd love to hear how it works for you. And if you enjoy our podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode. Join us again next time for more friendly, everyday English. Take care and keep your ears up. Bye.
This is the Ears Up English podcast. English that grows with you. Welcome to Ears Up English, where your listening becomes stronger and your speaking becomes smoother. If English still feels scary or stressful for you, don't worry. We're here to help you enjoy English without fear. Strong ears, strong English. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Robert. Thanks for joining us today. Hey, Michelle, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about English interviews, actually.
Oh, yeah? That's a topic we hear about all the time.
Exactly. A lot of people say their English is okay, they know what they want to say, but somehow interviews just don't feel great afterward.
Yeah, like you finish and think, I didn't mess up, but I don't feel confident about it either.
Right. And then you hear that someone who wasn't super fluent got the offer, and you start wondering what the real difference was.
When you look closely, it's often not about English level at all.
That's what I feel too. So today, instead of giving rules, I thought we could just talk through what we've both noticed.
Sounds good. That already feels more realistic than a checklist.
First off, English interviews aren't English tests.
Yeah, but a lot of people treat them that way.
They really do. They're checking grammar in their head, searching for the right word, and trying to build the perfect sentence before speaking.
And during that time, there's a little silence.
Exactly. To the speaker, it's thinking time. To the interviewer, it can just feel like the conversation stopped.
Interviewers usually aren't thinking, oh, they're carefully choosing their grammar.
Right. They're more like, can I actually talk with this person day to day?
Meetings, quick check-ins, casual questions, that's what they're imagining.
That's why how you start talking matters so much.
You mean the whole don't start with the background thing?
Yeah. In Japanese, starting with context feels polite and careful, but in English interviews, it can make things harder to follow.
The listener is organizing everything in their head, waiting for the main point.
And even though you're explaining properly, they're thinking, so where is this going?
That's tiring, honestly.
People who do well usually start very simply, not perfect, just clear.
Like giving the direction first.
Exactly. Just showing where the story is headed makes the room relax.
That's pretty close to prep, right?
Yeah, and I actually think prep is really useful.
Same here. It keeps things from getting messy.
What I like about prep isn't that it sounds polished, but that it follows a listener-friendly order.
It lowers the effort for the interviewer.
Exactly. The only thing is, when people try to complete every step perfectly, it starts to sound like a presentation.
Yeah, suddenly it feels like slides without slides.
An interview is still a conversation. You can give the point, one reason, and then see how the other person reacts.
So prep is more like a map than a script.
That's a great way to put it.
What about self-introductions? That's another place people struggle.
Totally. Saying I'm good at this or I have X years of experience isn't wrong, but it often feels incomplete.
As a listener, I'm thinking, okay, so what changes if you join our team?
Exactly. Strong candidates naturally connect their experience to how it would help the team they're talking to.
Even if the English is simple, you can picture working with them.
Another thing I notice a lot is people talking too much.
Probably because silence feels scary.
Yeah, but interviews aren't speeches. It's okay to pause and check the other person's reaction.
People who can stop and wait feel easier to communicate with.
That's where today's phrase comes in.
Does that make sense?
Such a small sentence, but it changes the mood. It's not, is my English correct? It's, are we on the same page?
It turns the interview into a shared conversation.
And it shows you care about being understood, not about being perfect.
All right, let's listen to today's dialogue.
This is a short example from an actual interview situation.
Can you tell me about a project you really focused on?
Sure. One project I cared a lot about was improving how our team shared information. At the time, progress wasn't very visible and small mistakes kept happening. So I simplified the workflow and made responsibilities clearer for everyone. As a result, we had fewer check-ins and the team moved faster. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's very clear.
What I like here is how early she shows the direction. You don't have to wait long to understand what the story is about.
Yeah, exactly. Her English is simple, but I never feel lost as a listener.
And she doesn't rush. She explains, then leaves a little space at the end.
Right, and that's where "does that make sense" works really well. It invites the interviewer into the conversation.
It doesn't sound like she's checking her English. It sounds like she's checking understanding.
Yeah, and that small difference changes the whole tone of the interview. It feels more like a real back and forth.
And I like that she doesn't over-explain. She gives just enough, then she lets Ben react.
Exactly. When someone talks with no pause, I start thinking, should I jump in or am I supposed to just keep listening?
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's a big difference between sounding prepared and sounding rehearsed.
Right. Prepared is like you know what you want to say. Rehearsed is like you're trying to deliver everything perfectly.
And her question helps too. Does that make sense? Is simple, but it checks the connection.
Yeah, it's not asking for approval. It's more like, are we on the same page?
If you want to use this in your own interview, there are a few easy things to try. First, show the direction early and then add details only if they're useful.
Yeah, you can do that even with simple English. You might say something like, I focused on improving our team's workflow, and then you can add the context after that.
And it helps to connect your story to the role in front of you. Even one quick line like, I think this would help this team because it reduces confusion, can change how your answer lands.
That's so true. People often list what they did, but they forget to say why it matters for this job.
Also, you don't have to say everything. If the interviewer looks like they get it, you can pause and let them choose the next question.
Yeah, and not pause can make you sound more confident. It feels like a conversation, not a performance.
One more thing is the question itself. If it's a bit unclear, it's totally fine to check it before you start.
Yeah, you might say something like, just to confirm, do you mean the biggest challenge or the result of the project?
Exactly. And if you need a second to think, you can take it. A short pause is better than rushing into a long answer you can't control.
And if you notice you're going long, you can stop yourself. You can say, does that make sense so far? And then keep going only if they want more.
Right. It's a small check, but it keeps you connected to the other person.
Also, I noticed her pace. She's not racing, but she's not slow either. It feels steady and it sounds confident.
Totally. And when you listen again, focus on that rhythm. It's not just the words, it's the timing. All right, let's listen to the same dialogue one more time.
Can you tell me about a project you really focused on?
Sure. One project I cared a lot about was improving how our team shared information. At the time, progress wasn't very visible, and small mistakes kept happening. So I simplified the workflow and made responsibilities clearer for everyone. As a result, we had fewer check-ins and the team moved faster. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's very clear.
In the end, interviews aren't just about English skill. They show how you think and how you talk with people.
Does that make sense? That one phrase really captures it.
All right, everyone, that's today's episode of Ears Up English. Strong ears, strong English. Keep training your ears every day. Try the phrase from today's episode and see how it changes your conversations. We'd love to hear how it works for you. And if you enjoy our podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode. Join us again next time for more friendly, everyday English. Take care and keep your ears up. Bye.
This is the Ears Up English podcast. English that grows with you. Welcome to Ears Up English, where your listening becomes stronger and your speaking becomes smoother. If English still feels scary or stressful for you, don't worry. We're here to help you enjoy English without fear. Strong ears, strong English. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Robert. Thanks for joining us today.
Lately, even though nothing big has really happened, I feel like my days just disappear. I finish the day and think, wait, what did I even do today? And somehow I feel busy all the time.
That feeling actually makes a lot of sense. Even when you're not that busy, your mind just keeps running and small things start to feel tiring.
Yeah, exactly. Even something simple like talking about the weather or saying one small thing. There are moments when I suddenly freeze and think, oh, what should I say?
Totally. Small talk is supposed to be light, but when you're the one who has to start it, it suddenly feels harder than it should.
Right. And recently, I was talking with a friend and I heard something interesting. Apparently, a lot of people feel stressed because they're not good at small talk.
Hearing that actually makes me feel a bit relieved. Just knowing you're not the only one struggling with it helps.
Yeah, and it's not really about English being hard. Even in our own language, there are moments when we think, I don't know what to talk about, especially when we're the ones starting the conversation.
Exactly. So today, we want to talk about what kind of things you can say in small talk and how to keep it light so it feels easier for the person starting it.
One thing I've noticed is that when you're the one starting small talk, you put pressure on yourself without realizing it. You feel like you need to say something interesting or clever.
I do that too. The moment there's silence, I feel like it's my job to fix it, and that pressure makes my mind go blank.
Yeah, but when you look back, the small talk that felt easy usually wasn't exciting at all. No punchline, no special story.
Right. It felt easy because the other person didn't have to think much. They could just react.
A common mistake is starting with a big, open question, like, how have you been? Or what did you do this weekend?
Those sound easy, but for the person answering, they're actually kind of heavy. They start thinking, should I talk about work? About my personal life? How much should I say?
Exactly. Small talk often stops not because of silence, but because the other person starts thinking too hard.
And in small talk, making people think less is actually a good thing.
One thing I want to add here is that questions themselves aren't bad. It's more about when you ask them, and that timing really changes how the conversation feels.
Yeah, I agree. When people hear don't ask questions, they sometimes think they should never ask anything, but that's not really the point.
Exactly. The problem is asking a question too early, before you've responded to what the other person is feeling.
If the first thing you do is throw a question, the other person suddenly has to work. They have to think and explain.
But when you respond to the feeling first, the question feels much lighter. It almost feels like a natural next step.
So instead of listening for information, it really helps to listen for emotion.
Yeah. People who are good at small talk aren't focused on the topic itself. They're paying attention to how the other person sounds.
For example, if someone says, "I've been a bit busy lately," the important part isn't what they're busy with.
Right. It's the feeling behind it. So a good first response might be something like, "That sounds tough," or "That must be tiring."
Those kinds of responses don't push the conversation forward. They just show that you noticed how the other person feels.
And once you do that, asking a question doesn't feel sudden anymore.
Yeah, after you acknowledge the feeling, something like, "What's been keeping you busy?" feels natural.
The order really matters. Feeling first, question second.
That small shift alone makes starting conversations much easier.
Another thing that helps is starting with your own state instead of a question. Not a story, just how you feel in that moment.
Right, something like, "I feel kind of sleepy today," or "I'm a bit low energy this morning."
You don't need to explain why. Your state is just a hint, not the main topic.
Once you start explaining, small talk starts to feel heavier than it needs to be.
And when you do want to continue, you don't need a clever question.
There are a few very simple patterns that work in a lot of situations.
One is asking, "How was that?" Another is, "How is it going lately?"
And the third one is, "How is it compared to before?" Those questions don't push the conversation. They just gently open the door.
So if someone says, "I changed jobs," you don't need a big reaction.
You can just say, "Oh really, how is it compared to before?" and see where it goes.
And if it doesn't go anywhere, that's fine too. You don't have to force it. Now let's listen to today's dialogue. It's nothing special, just a normal small talk conversation.
I feel kind of sleepy today. It's not like I stayed up late or anything.
I get that. I feel like my brain hasn't fully woken up yet either.
For me, the middle of the week feels the hardest lately. How about you?
Same here. I'm not super busy, but my mind feels a bit unsettled.
Yeah, that kind of phase happens. Do you think you will be able to relax this weekend, or is it still unclear?
I'd like to stay home and take it easy, but my plans usually don't get decided until the last minute.
I know that feeling. Sometimes having no plans is actually more relaxing.
When you listen to that dialogue, nothing really special is being shared. No big stories, no news, no strong opinions.
But a few important things are happening. The conversation starts with a state, not an event.
A state doesn't need a reason. You don't have to explain it or justify it.
And the responses don't try to fix anything. No advice, no solutions, just, "I get that."
That's what keeps it light. The questions also come later, not at the very beginning.
And notice how the conversation could end at several points and still feel complete. All right, let's listen to today's dialogue one more time.
I feel kind of sleepy today. It's not like I stayed up late or anything.
I get that. I feel like my brain hasn't fully woken up yet either.
For me, the middle of the week feels the hardest lately. How about you?
Same here. I'm not super busy, but my mind feels a bit unsettled.
Yeah, that kind of phase happens. Do you think you will be able to relax this weekend, or is it still unclear?
I'd like to stay home and take it easy, but my plans usually don't get decided until the last minute.
I know that feeling. Sometimes having no plans is actually more relaxing.
What we talked about today wasn't about preparing good stories. It was about what to do on days when you honestly have nothing to say. Those are the days when small talk feels the hardest.
Yeah, because on those days you feel like you're supposed to come up with something, but there's really nothing there.
And on days like that, the easiest place to start isn't yourself. It's what's already around you.
The weather, how crowded it is, the time of day, those things don't require any effort. They're already there whether you try or not.
Right. You don't need to be creative. You don't need a topic. You're just pointing at what's already in front of both of you.
And if you get even a small reaction, that's when you can add one small comment about your own state.
Something simple like, "I'm a bit tired today," or "I feel kind of off this morning." That's enough.
You don't have to explain why. You don't have to turn it into a story.
The moment you start explaining, small talk starts to feel heavier than it needs to be.
Questions also play a different role than people think. They're not there to expand the conversation.
They're just there to keep it from stopping. One small question is enough.
And if the answer is short, you don't need to rescue the conversation.
Letting it end is not a failure. It just means that moment is over.
Small talk isn't something you win or lose. It's something you touch lightly and then step away from.
And when you think about it that way, starting conversations feels much easier.
You're not trying to impress anyone. You're just sharing a moment.
That mindset alone can really change how comfortable you feel starting small talk. All right, everyone, that's today's episode of Ears Up English. Strong ears, strong English. Keep training your ears every day.
Try the ideas from today's episode and see how they change your conversations. We'd love to hear how it works for you.
And if you enjoy our podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode.
Join us again next time for more friendly, everyday English. Take care and keep your ears up. Bye.
This is the Ears Up English podcast. English that grows with you. Welcome to Ears Up English, where your listening becomes stronger and your speaking becomes smoother. If English still feels scary or stressful for you, don't worry. We're here to help you enjoy English without fear. Strong ears, strong English. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Robert. Thanks for joining us today.
Before we started recording, I stopped by a cafe, and honestly, it felt a little busy out there. Even finding a seat took a bit of energy, and I could feel my shoulders creeping up.
I totally get that. Just being around crowds can turn up the volume in your head. On days like that, you sit down with your drink and you finally feel your breathing slow down.
Exactly. And then something funny happened. The table next to me suddenly burst out laughing, and I was not even part of the conversation, but I still wanted to laugh with them. The words I caught did not sound hard, but the reason it was funny just slipped past me, you know?
Yeah, that one beat late feeling can be so annoying. It is like you understand the meaning, but the angle is slightly off, and the conversation moves on right away, so you're left with that little hook in your mind.
So today, I want to untangle that hook in a casual way. We're not doing a lecture, we're just chatting like we're still at that cafe. Our topic is how English jokes work, and we're going to focus on wordplay jokes called puns.
I like that. Puns can sound serious, but the idea is pretty simple. A lot of the time, it's basically the English version of a dad joke, so please relax and have fun with it.
When you think of it as a dad joke, it becomes way less scary. A pun plays with a small twist, like the same sound, the same spelling, or a word with two meanings. When you notice the twist, you get that little click in your brain, and you kind of smile.
Right. It's more like a moment of noticing than a big story. In normal conversation, you pick one meaning and keep going, and that's efficient. With a pun, it can help to keep two meanings side by side for a second. I mean, just in your head.
And I do the normal thing all the time. My brain tries to take the shortest path, so I lock onto one meaning and move on. That's why jokes can slide right past, because I don't give myself that tiny sideways look.
That sideways look is the key, and it doesn't have to be slow. You don't need to pause the whole conversation. You just take a quick mental detour. When you do that, the joke often becomes obvious.
To make that detour easier, we'll use 3 labels today. They are homophones, homographs, and then the big group called homonyms. The names look similar, but the idea is simple. It's about words that look the same or sound the same while meaning something different.
Let's start with homophones. That's when two words sound the same but have different meanings. In fast conversation, you can miss the second meaning because your ears give you only one sound.
A classic example is the baker joke. People often say something like, I used to be a baker, but I couldn't make enough dough. Dough can mean bread dough, and it can also mean money, so the sentence carries two tracks at once.
So on the surface, it sounds like a baker who can't make dough, which is already funny in a plain way. But the real twist is they couldn't make enough money. It's not about hard vocabulary, it's about opening the second drawer in your mind.
I did not open that second drawer the first time I heard it. I only thought about bread, so it just felt like a normal sentence and I moved on. Later, when I learned dough can mean money, the click finally happened. And honestly, I felt a little annoyed at myself.
That late click is actually a good sign. It means your brain built a new connection, and now you'll notice it faster next time. And because nobody stops to explain a joke in real life, that later moment of understanding is super common.
With homophones, the trick is not to overthink. You just ask yourself, does this word have another meaning? And you glance to the side for 1 second. That's enough to make the second meaning show up more often.
Another short one people often say is, I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down. Put down can mean place something on a table, and it can mean stop reading. When you keep both meanings in your head, it suddenly feels very clean.
And the vibe is not fancy, it's just playful. In Japanese, it feels like a simple pun you hear from an older uncle, and that's exactly why it's so easy to enjoy. If you expect deep comedy, you might miss how small the twist is.
Now homographs, that's when the spelling is the same, but the meaning is different, and sometimes the pronunciation changes too. These often hit harder when you see them written because your eyes notice the same shape twice.
A famous one is, I have a fear of speed bumps, but I'm slowly getting over it. Get over it can mean recover from a fear, and it can literally mean go over a speed bump. It looks like a normal sentence, and then the second meaning sneaks in.
That's why this type can be easy to miss. It reads like a simple lifeline, and then you realize there's a double meaning hiding inside it. It's not always a loud laugh, it's more of a quiet grin.
And sometimes you don't notice it in the moment. You might hear it and think, oh, that's a nice sentence, and that's it. But when you learn the pattern, you can catch it later and still enjoy the twist.
Another strong written example is the bandage was wound around the wound. The spelling is the same, but one wound is the past tense of wind and the other wound is an injury. When you see it, your brain kind of trips for a second, and that trip is the joke.
If you only hear it, you might lock onto one meaning and never see the second. That's why subtitles can help, and it's not cheating at all. Sometimes the visual form is what makes the joke visible.
And then we have homonyms, which is the bigger bucket. It includes cases like homophones and homographs, and it basically means the same word form can carry different meanings. The key idea is that one word is doing two jobs.
This is where that super famous one lives. People often say something like, time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. The first time you hear it, you're like, why are we suddenly talking about insects and fruit? And your brain pauses.
Because flies can mean move through the air and it can mean the insect, and like can mean similar to and it can mean enjoy. The sentence structure flips, so if you try to read it as one straight line, you get lost.
Here's a common mistake, and I do it too. You hear the line, you translate it seriously, and once it kind of makes sense, you stop. But with puns, the joke often starts after that, when you look for the second meaning.
A better move is simple. When you feel a joke vibe, you tap the brakes for 1 second. You ask, is there another meaning here? And if you don't find it, you just keep the conversation moving.
That distance helps a lot. You don't have to laugh every time, and you don't have to react perfectly. In real life, plenty of jokes get a small smile and then everyone moves on. So you can do the same.
Think about daily situations like chatting at work or talking to someone next to you while traveling. If someone throws a playful line and you go silent, the air can feel a bit stuck. So it helps to have a gentle escape line ready.
For example, you can say, that's a funny way to say it, and keep going. Or you can say, that sounds like wordplay, and then switch back to the weather or food. That kind of light move keeps the rhythm smooth.
And it also helps to know where you can stop. A joke often ends after one back and forth, and that's totally natural. You don't have to dig into it like a lesson. You can just let it pass and move on.
A practical habit you can copy is a quick rephrase. You don't translate word for word, you just say what you noticed in your own words. That makes it easy for the other person to respond and it keeps the chat alive.
For the dough joke, you might say, "Oh, so dough can mean money too." That's not showing off, it's sharing a small discovery, and people usually respond warmly to that kind of reaction.
Now, let's hear a short dialogue with Ben and Kaori. They're not teaching anything, they're just talking like normal friends, and the jokes naturally pop in. Notice how they start with their daily mood and then the wordplay slides in.
Today felt crowded everywhere. The station, the shops, all of it. I was standing in line at a cafe, half asleep, just staring at the donuts. And for some reason I thought, I used to be a baker, but I could not make enough dough.
And that took me a second. I heard bread first, and then my brain switched to money. That kind of dumb twist actually works on a day like this.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even plan it, it just slips out, and then you move on.
Right. I had a moment like that on the train. I was reading and thought, this book is impossible to put down.
That one is perfect. It sounds normal, and then it quietly flips. That's all you need.
That felt light, right? They started with a real daily mood, crowds and tiredness, so the jokes didn't feel random, and they didn't turn the jokes into a lecture, they just let the wordplay sit there and move on.
Yeah, and notice how their quick agreement added feeling, not just a handoff. When Kaori said her brain stops for a second, she was sharing a real reaction. That kind of small honesty makes the conversation feel human and easy.
Also, their timing was simple. One joke, one response, and then they either add another or they stop, and both options feel normal. That's a useful idea because you don't need to stretch a joke into a long discussion.
If you want to copy the pattern, start with a tiny daily opener. It can be the weather, the crowd, your sleep, or your energy, and then you add one light line. If a playful line comes back, you can stay in that playful lane for a moment and then return to the normal topic.
And if you do not catch the joke, you can still keep the rhythm. You can say, "That is a funny way to say it," or "That sounds like wordplay," and then you keep going. The goal is not perfect understanding, it is a smooth, friendly flow.
One more thing that helps is giving yourself permission to stop. With wordplay, you can notice the switch and then move on. You do not have to solve it on the spot, and you can always enjoy the click later.
Let's hear the same dialogue one more time. When you hear it twice, you often notice the switch faster the second time. Try listening with a softer focus and see if the double meanings pop more easily.
Today felt crowded everywhere. The station, the shops, all of it. I was standing in line at a cafe, half asleep, just staring at the donuts. And for some reason I thought, I used to be a baker, but I could not make enough dough.
And that took me a second. I heard bread first, and then my brain switched to money. That kind of dumb twist actually works on a day like this.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even plan it, it just slips out, and then you move on.
Right. I had a moment like that on the train. I was reading and thought, this book is impossible to put down.
That one is perfect. It sounds normal, and then it quietly flips. That's all you need.
As we think back on this, English jokes are often built on puns. A pun uses a small twist, like the same sound, the same spelling, or a word with two meanings. When you keep that in mind, you stop trying to force one meaning and you start noticing the playful switch. We talked about 3 helpful labels too. Homophones are words that sound the same but mean different things. Homographs are words that are spelled the same but mean different things, and sometimes they're even pronounced differently.
And homonyms is the bigger bucket that includes those kinds of overlaps. Dough can be bread, dough, and money. Put down can be place it down and stop reading. And get over it can be emotional and literal at the same time. When you have a little time, it can be fun to replay a line and see where the switch happened.
If you feel like trying this today, start with a simple daily opener. You can mention the weather, the crowd, or how your day feels, and then add one light line. If you notice a pun, great, and if you miss it, you can still keep the chat smooth.
And if a joke pops into your mind, please share it in the comments. Short ones are perfect, and even a classic one is totally welcome. We would love to see your dad joke collection grow.
I'm excited to read them. Sometimes one person's joke becomes another person's little click moment. That's a pretty nice way to keep the conversation going.
All right, everyone, that's today's episode of Ears Up English. Strong ears, strong English. Keep training your ears every day. Try the ideas from today's episode and see how they change your conversations. We'd love to hear how it works for you. And if you enjoy our podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode. Join us again next time for more friendly, everyday English. Take care and keep your ears up. Bye.
This is the Ears Up English podcast. English that grows with you. Welcome to Ears Up English, where your listening becomes stronger and your speaking becomes smoother. If English still feels scary or stressful for you, don't worry. We're here to help you enjoy English without fear. Strong ears, strong English. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michelle.
Hey everyone, Robert here. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Robert, you've got to hear this. I recently read a book by Laura Vanderkam, the time management expert. Honestly, it was such an eye-opener. I mean, it completely changed how I think about time.
Ha, I get it. Laura's perspective is sharp. What specifically hit home for you?
To be honest, before reading it, I thought it would be another one of those self-help books telling me to wake up at dawn and take cold showers, or to schedule every minute of my day. But it was completely different. It challenged me with the idea that the busyness and exhaustion we feel might just be an illusion. It was really eye-opening.
I see. We do chant the mantra, I'm busy, I have no time, I'm exhausted every day, but that feeling doesn't necessarily match reality.
Exactly. So today I want to dive deep with you into the commonly believed myths versus the scientific facts that I learned from her book and research. I'm sure our listeners will think, wait, is she talking about me?
Sounds great. I'm really interested in her research data too. Let's start debunking these common myths.
Can I start with the most shocking numbers? Many people believe they have absolutely zero free time, right? I used to think that too. Between work, household chores, and taking care of the kids, I have zero time for myself.
Yeah, that's a common belief among modern people.
But the research says that if you look at the fact that there are 168 hours in a week, you actually have plenty of time.
168 hours. That's 24 times 7 days, so that checks out.
Right. Now let's do the math. Say you work full-time, 40 hours a week, and if you sleep a full 8 hours every night, that's 56 hours. Subtract 40 and 56 from 168, how many hours are left?
Let's see, 72 hours.
Yes, 72 hours. That's the equivalent of 3 full days. When I learned this, I wanted to scream, what? Where did my 72 hours go?
That's a shocking number. But why do we feel like we have no time when we actually have so much?
The research says it's because we only look at time on a daily basis. For example, we focus on our busiest day, like a Tuesday, and complain, see, I didn't have even 1 minute for myself today. By telling ourselves this busy Tuesday story, we become blind to the free time on weekends and the little pockets of time during weekdays.
I see. We have a bias where we think our worst day is our typical day.
Exactly. The research also says people think they work longer hours than they actually do. We tend to overestimate unpleasant or obligatory tasks and underestimate enjoyable activities and sleep time. When people actually track their time, those who claim to work 80 hours a week often find they're not working quite that much.
Ouch, that hits close to home. So, what's the action tip for tomorrow to get back those invisible 72 hours?
First, think in terms of the week, 168 hours, not the day. You don't need to balance everything every single day. Look at the whole week from a bird's eye view and find where the gaps are. Just this shift can change your feeling from being chased by time to controlling time.
Let's move to the next topic. Michelle, have you been sleeping well lately?
Well, I've been trying to, but it's weird. This week, I was consciously in bed for 7 to 8 hours, but my body still feels sluggish. I should have enough sleep, but I'm still tired. Is this just because I'm getting older?
No, that's also a common mistake people make. The research says it's not how much you sleep, but keeping the same sleep schedule that matters most for feeling rested.
Rhythm? What do you mean?
Michelle, what time did you go to bed last night? And the night before?
Last night I was watching Netflix and went to bed at 1 a.m. The night before, I was exhausted and crashed around 11 p.m.
There's the problem. Many people get enough average sleep over a week, but their bedtime shifts by 90 minutes or more from day to day. The research says this creates a jet lag-like state in your body.
Wow, jet lag. That description fits perfectly. So I've been jet lagged without even traveling abroad?
Exactly. Your body is confused and doesn't know when to rest. So the tip for tomorrow is super simple. Give yourself a bedtime, not just a wake-up time.
Setting a bedtime? Like when we were kids?
Exactly. Adults manage their wake-up time with alarms, but let bedtime happen randomly, right? Work backwards from the sleep you need and decide, I'll go to bed at 11 p.m. Then set a phone alarm for it. Just this can dramatically change your energy levels during the day.
A bedtime alarm. That makes sense. If you don't set an endpoint, you just drift aimlessly. I'll try it. Back to scheduling. Robert, when do you plan for next week?
Usually Sunday night. I open my planner while feeling depressed that work starts again tomorrow. The classic Sunday night blues.
I used to do that too, but Laura's suggestion is different. She says plan on Fridays.
Friday afternoon? That's when I least want to work.
That's exactly why. The research says Friday afternoon tends to be the most unproductive garbage time. If you can't do big work anyway, the most efficient use of that time is planning.
That's a clever reversal.
Plus, if you plan for next week on Friday, you don't have to worry about Monday during the weekend, right? And Monday morning, you can hit the ground running because you already know what to start with.
True, getting rid of the Sunday night worry is appealing. How specifically should we plan?
Write down top priorities for next week in 3 categories: career, relationships, and self. Not just work. Plan who you want to see and what you want to do for yourself.
Including self in the plan is something we forget, but it's important. All right, I'll make Friday afternoon my strategy session starting this week. Let me ask you something. Around 3 p.m., don't you feel your concentration just crashes? It's the witching hour when I crave coffee and chocolate.
Oh, yes. At that time, I'm just staring at my computer screen, but my mind is all about what's for dinner. That's when I think I have neither the energy nor the time to exercise.
Right, that's the trap many people fall into. The research says exercise doesn't steal time, it creates time and energy.
Wait, if I exercise, I'll get tired and have even less time, won't I?
That's the intuitive thought, but the reality is the opposite. The research shows that moving your body for just 5 to 10 minutes during that afternoon tired feeling can dramatically restore energy levels and boost productivity afterwards.
Just 5 minutes?
Yes, a brisk walk or going up and down stairs. One experiment showed that just 5 minutes of stair climbing when tired increased energy levels from 3 to 9. In other words, the time you invest in exercising more than pays for itself through increased efficiency.
I see. Think of it as an investment. Don't rest when tired, move when tired.
Exactly. So here's Tamara's tip. Move by 3 p.m. You don't need to go to the gym for an hour. Just a 10-minute walk will do. Especially when you're busy or tired, dare to move.
Since we're talking about movement, I have a confession. I've repeatedly decided to do yoga every morning and failed. I'm a chronic 3-day quitter.
That's also the perfectionism trap. Many people think if you don't do it every day, it's not a habit, and when they miss one day, they think it's over and quit entirely.
That's exactly me. When I skip one day, the guilt kills my motivation.
But the research says you don't need to measure life on a daily basis. Every day is actually a very high bar. The research says if you can do it 3 times a week, that's enough to establish it as a habit and part of your identity.
3 times a week is enough? I can do that.
Absolutely. You can skip weekends, skip busy days. If you do it 3 times a week, you can proudly say, I'm a person who does yoga.
That's such a relief. From now on, instead of I have to do it every day, 3 times a week is a habit will be my motto.
Back to the nighttime discussion. We talked about setting a bedtime earlier, right? But even when you know you should, don't you end up staying up late scrolling aimlessly on your phone?
Absolutely. It's called revenge bedtime procrastination. I know I should sleep early, but I can't stop scrolling. My heart is screaming, I worked hard all day, so I deserve a little free time.
That feeling is really important. The research says revenge bedtime procrastination comes from feeling like you had 0 time for yourself all day.
That makes sense. True, on days when I lived only for work or family, I especially want to stay up late.
Right, because you didn't consciously use those small pockets of time during the day, commutes, waiting times for your own enjoyment, you end up sacrificing sleep at night to get back yourself.
So what should we do?
The solution is to put effortful enjoyment, like reading or hobbies, before effortless enjoyment, like scrolling on your phone, even for just a few minutes.
Effortful enjoyment?
For example, instead of immediately checking social media during a wait at the supermarket or a spare moment, read 2 to 3 pages on Kindle or watch a hobby video. The research says that even a little active use of time gives you the satisfaction of, I used time for myself today.
I see. If you fill yourself up during the day, you won't need to stay up feeling unhappy at night. Robert, I've learned so much and feel much lighter. But one last thing. Each year seems to pass faster and faster, feeling like it went by in a flash. Is that just because I'm getting older?
That's also due to how the brain works. Many people feel, I don't know where the time went because every day is the same routine and the brain doesn't store it in memory.
True, I can't even remember what I had for lunch last Tuesday.
The brain compresses unchanging daily life when storing it. That's why time feels short. The research says, to make time feel rich and long, you need adventures.
Adventures? Should I go to the jungle or something?
No. One big adventure, one little adventure per week is all you need.
Like what specifically?
A big adventure is just about half a day, like going to a park you've never been to on the weekend. A little adventure is under an hour, like trying a new restaurant for lunch on a weekday or taking a different route home.
I can do that. Breaking the routine is what matters.
Exactly. By creating memorable landmarks like that, when you reflect on the weekend, you'll think, this week I went there and ate that, and the time will feel much longer and more fulfilling.
Related to adventures, Laura's rule to take one night for you was also impressive.
Using a few hours a week for your own enjoyment outside of work and family care, right? But apparently, this is the rule people resist most. Many feel guilty thinking, if I'm not there, the house falls apart.
I totally get it. If I go out at night, who will check the kids' homework? What about my husband's dinner?
But the research says if you're gone for a few hours, the earth won't crash into the sun and your house won't collapse. In fact, it recommends joining activities that involve commitments to others once a week, like a choir or a sports team.
Why activities involving others? Why not just taking a bath alone?
Things you can do alone, like taking a bath, get postponed precisely because you can do them anytime. When work or kids' needs interrupt, you immediately cancel them. But if you have team practice, you'll make time no matter what, right?
True. You need that binding force.
By doing so, you remember that I'm not just a person doing jobs.
I'm a human being who deserves fun time. As a result, you're less irritable with your family, which has positive effects.
Hey, Robert, I feel like so many misconceptions have been cleared up today. Can you summarize what we can start doing tomorrow?
Of course. Here's the summary of action tips you can start using tomorrow. 1. Set a bedtime and alarm. Keep your sleep schedule regular and avoid feeling jet-lagged. 2. Adopt the 168-hour perspective. Don't try to balance everything in one day. Look at the balance of time across the whole week. 3. Move by 3 p.m. When tired, move your body for 5 minutes to create energy. 4. Plan on Fridays. Get rid of Monday worry and truly enjoy your weekend. 5. 3 times a week is a habit. Lower the bar for building habits. 6. 1 small adventure per week. Do something new and memorable to stretch time.
Thank you, Robert. I'll start with tonight's bedtime alarm. And tomorrow for lunch, instead of my usual sandwich, I'll take a little adventure to that new deli in the next town.
That's a great plan. Listeners, please try even just one thing starting tomorrow. Escape the narrative of I don't have time and take back control of your life.
All right, everyone. That's today's episode of Ears Up English. Strong ears, strong English. Keep training your ears every day. Try the ideas from today's episode and see how they change your conversations. We'd love to hear how it works for you. And if you enjoy our podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode. Join us again next time for more friendly everyday English. Take care and keep your ears up. Bye.
This is the Ears Up English podcast. English that grows with you. Welcome to Ears Up English, where your listening becomes stronger and your speaking becomes smoother. If English still feels scary or stressful for you, don't worry. We're here to help you enjoy English without fear. Strong ears, strong English. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Hey, Robert, can I ask you something? When you first started working in Japan, was there anything that really caught you off guard?
Oh, definitely. I remember my first week at my Japanese company. My manager came up to me on a Friday and said, "We have nomikai tonight." And I thought, okay, sounds fun.
And then you realized it was a little more than just fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone was already getting their coats on. It felt like missing it wasn't really an option.
I think a lot of our listeners have felt that exact same thing.
So today, we want to talk about nomikai, the Japanese drinking culture at work, and more specifically, how it compares to what happens in American workplaces.
Right. And this might actually surprise some people because in the US, after-work drinks with colleagues are pretty different from what happens in Japan. So let's start with Japan. After-work drinking isn't just casual. It has a name, nomikanation, a mix of the Japanese word nomu, to drink, and the English word communication.
Which kind of tells you everything, right? It's built into how people connect at work. It's not just optional socializing.
Exactly. And for a lot of people, especially younger employees, it can feel like attendance is expected, like skipping it sends the wrong message to your boss.
The interesting thing is, in the US, we do have after-work drinks, but the feeling is completely different. It's genuinely optional. If you don't go, nobody really thinks twice about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've had colleagues say, "Hey, we're grabbing drinks, want to join?" And if you say no, they just say, "No worries, next time."
In Japan, it can feel more like you're going, right? Not always, but that pressure is there sometimes.
So the first difference is really about choice. In America, it's a choice. In Japan, it can sometimes feel like part of the job.
And that connects to something deeper. In Japan, the workplace relationship is very important. Building trust with your team often happens outside the office.
There's actually a phrase for it. People say you learn who someone really is after a few drinks. The idea is that the real personality comes out.
What I notice is that in the US, we try to build trust during work hours, through meetings, projects, small talk in the hallway.
Right. The relationship building happens in the office, not at the izakaya at 10 at night.
And that leads to the second difference, the cost. Nomikai can be expensive, and often the most senior person is expected to pay more or even cover the whole table.
Which is very different from the US. In America, everyone almost always pays for themselves, going Dutch, as they say.
It's more of a work obligation in Japan than a personal choice. And I say that with respect because there's real value in those moments, but the structure is just very different.
That phrase is really useful, actually. It's more of a work obligation. It captures the feeling without sounding negative.
Exactly. You're not complaining, you're just describing the reality.
And the third difference I want to mention is the setting. In Japan, nomikai usually has a fixed time, a set menu, and often 2 rounds, the nijikai.
In the US, people might grab one drink and head home. Or some go for dinner, some don't. It's much more flexible.
There's no nijikai culture in America. 1 round and people start checking their phones for the train home.
Which, honestly, some people in Japan are starting to prefer too. There's a growing movement of people politely skipping nomikai, especially younger generations.
That's a real shift happening in Japan. Work-life balance is a bigger conversation now in Japan than it was even 10 years ago.
Let's listen to today's dialogue. Yuki is a Japanese employee explaining nomikai to her American colleague Alex, who just joined the company.
Listen for how Yuki uses the phrase, "It's more of a work obligation," to explain the culture without making it sound bad.
Hey, Yuki, so tonight's nomikai, do we have to go or is it like optional?
Honestly, it's more of a work obligation than a fun night out. Most people feel like they should go, especially for the first one.
Oh, I see. So it's kind of like a work event, not just drinks with friends.
Right. It's how we build relationships with the team. Once you go a few times, it actually gets easier and kind of fun.
That makes sense. I'll go tonight. Should I bring cash for my share?
The senior manager usually covers most of it, but it's nice to offer. Don't worry too much about it tonight.
That felt very natural because Yuki didn't say, "You have to come." She explained the culture instead of giving a rule.
And the phrase, "it's more of a work obligation than a fun night out," does a lot of work. It sets the expectation without sounding negative.
Let's look at a less natural way to say this. If Yuki had said, "Attendance is mandatory," that sounds very formal, almost scary.
Right, that's an NG example. It puts Alex on the defensive right away.
But "it's more of a work obligation" is softer. It says the same thing, but leaves room for Alex to make a choice.
The phrase "it's more of" is really useful in English. You can use it to gently correct or clarify someone's impression.
For example, if someone asks if your weekend trip was vacation, you could say, "It's more of a family thing." You're clarifying without being blunt.
It's a phrase that sounds very natural in casual conversation, not too formal, not too casual.
One more thing I liked in the dialogue. Alex asked, "Do we have to go or is it optional?" That's a very honest, direct question.
And Yuki answered it honestly without making Alex feel bad. That's a great communication skill in any language. Let's listen one more time to today's dialogue.
Hey, Yuki, so tonight's nomikai, do we have to go or is it like optional?
Honestly, it's more of a work obligation than a fun night out. Most people feel like they should go, especially for the first one.
Oh, I see. So it's kind of like a work event, not just drinks with friends.
Right. It's how we build relationships with the team. Once you go a few times, it actually gets easier and kind of fun.
That makes sense. I'll go tonight. Should I bring cash for my share?
The senior manager usually covers most of it, but it's nice to offer. Don't worry too much about it tonight.
What we talked about today was the difference between nomikai culture in Japan and after-work drinking in the US.
The first point was about choice. In Japan, there's often a sense that you're expected to go. In the US, it's genuinely optional.
The second point was about where relationships are built. In Japan, a lot of trust is built over drinks outside the office. In the US, it tends to happen more during work hours.
And the third point was the structure. Japanese nomikai has a fixed time, a set menu, and often multiple rounds. American after-work drinks are much more casual and flexible.
And today's phrase to take away is, it's more of a work obligation. Use it when you want to explain the nature of something clearly but gently.
Try it this week. If someone asks about something that's not quite optional, it's more of a work obligation might be exactly what you need.
You can also swap in other nouns. It's more of a family tradition. It's more of a courtesy thing. The pattern is very flexible.
The more you use it, the more natural it sounds.
All right, everyone, that's today's episode of Ears Up English. Strong ears, strong English. Keep training your ears every day.
Try the phrase from today's episode and see how it changes your conversations. We'd love to hear how it works for you.
And if you enjoy our podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode.
Join us again next time for more friendly, everyday English. Take care and keep your ears up. Bye!
This is the Ears Up English podcast. English that grows with you. Welcome to Ears Up English, where your listening becomes stronger and your speaking becomes smoother. If English still feels scary or stressful for you, don't worry. We're here to help you enjoy English without fear. Strong ears, strong English. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Robert. Thanks for joining us today.
Robert, how are you doing?
Really good, thanks. Had a good coffee this morning, so I'm all set.
Ha, same. Nice. So, Robert, something kind of funny happened to me last week. I was at a coffee shop and I overheard a conversation at the next table.
Oh yeah, what was going on?
There was a guy clearly practicing English with a friend, and he said really clearly, "I would like to inquire as to whether this establishment serves oat milk."
Oh wow, at a coffee shop?
At a coffee shop, and the barista behind the counter just kind of froze for a second.
I mean, I know exactly what he was trying to do. He was being polite. He was using formal English.
Right, and his grammar was perfect, but it was so formal that it actually made the situation more awkward, not less.
That's the thing. Sometimes trying too hard to sound correct ends up making you sound less natural.
And I think a lot of learners go through this. They study so hard, they learn all the rules, but the English that comes out sounds like it belongs in a textbook, not a conversation.
So today, we want to talk about 5 common textbook phrases that native speakers almost never use in real life, and what we say instead.
Yeah, and just to be clear from the start, this isn't about right or wrong. Every phrase we're going to talk about today is grammatically correct. The question is just, does it sound natural?
Exactly, and that gap between correct and natural is what trips a lot of learners up.
Okay, so let's start with number 1. How do you do?
Ah, yes, a classic. And honestly, I haven't heard a native speaker say this in years, maybe ever, outside of a movie.
Right? It's extremely formal. It actually comes from older British English, and even in the UK, most people don't say it anymore.
What I notice is when people learn this phrase, they think it means "how are you?" and they start using it as a greeting. But in reality, if you say "how do you do?" to someone at a party, they might just stare at you.
Yeah, it's that kind of response. In real life, we say things like, "Hey, how's it going?" or "good to meet you," or just "nice to meet you." Those feel warm and normal.
And the interesting thing is, even "nice to meet you" can sometimes sound a little rehearsed. A lot of native speakers now just say "hey" with a smile, and not carries the whole greeting.
True. Context does a lot of the work in English. A warm tone and a smile can say more than any formal phrase.
Okay, number 2. I am fine, thank you. And you?
Oh, this one. This one is deeply embedded in Japanese English education, I think.
It is, and honestly, it's not wrong at all. But the full sentence, I am fine, thank you, and you, sounds very studied, very careful.
Yeah, that sounds a bit stiff. In a real conversation, you'd hear something like, I'm good, thanks, you? Or, not bad, how about you? The contraction alone, I'm instead of I am, changes the whole feel. I am sounds like you're making a formal declaration. I'm sounds like a person talking.
And it's not just this phrase. A lot of learners avoid contractions because they feel less correct. But contractions are everywhere in natural English.
Right. Don't, can't, it's, I'm, we're. These aren't lazy. These are just how English sounds when people actually speak.
So one simple thing you can do starting today, wherever you would write I am, say I'm. Where you'd say do not, try don't. The shift is small, but it makes a big difference. All right, number 3. This one is very close to the hearts of Japanese learners. It is very delicious.
Oh, yes. This is practically a rite of passage in Japanese English education. You learn delicious, you use delicious, and it feels like the perfect word.
And it is a real English word. Nobody's saying delicious is wrong, but in everyday conversation, it sounds a bit formal, a bit stiff.
Right. When a native speaker takes a bite of something really good, they'll say something like, oh, this is so good, or this is amazing, or just, really good. Quick, natural, genuine.
What I notice is delicious tends to show up in menus, cookbooks, and food reviews. In those contexts, it fits perfectly. But at a dinner table with friends, it can sound like you're narrating a cooking show.
And the word very is part of the issue too. Japanese learners often use very to add emphasis, which makes total sense. It's what the textbook teaches. But native speakers reach for other words.
Yeah, instead of very delicious, we'd say so good, really tasty, absolutely amazing. The word very by itself can sometimes actually make a sentence feel flatter, not stronger.
It's one of those things where the textbook gave you a tool, but real conversation has a slightly different toolbox.
Exactly. So next time you eat something great, try this is so good and see how it feels. Much more natural than it is very delicious. Okay, number 4. Please give me a coffee.
Classic one. And again, grammatically fine. But in a cafe, it can come across as demanding, even rude, without meaning to be.
English softens requests a lot, more than many learners expect. We use words like could, can, would, just, maybe. They all add a layer of politeness.
So instead of please give me a coffee, you'd hear something like, could I get a coffee? Or can I have a latte, please? Or even just a coffee, please. That last one is super short, but totally normal.
And the word please is interesting, actually. In Japanese, kudasai does a lot of heavy lifting. It softens the whole request. But in English, please alone doesn't do that as much.
Right. The verb choice matters more. Give me sounds more direct than could I get or can I have. So even with please at the end, please give me can still feel a bit blunt.
Good point. The structure of the request matters, not just the politeness word you add on.
Okay, last one. Number 5. I cannot understand.
This one's very common, and I think learners use it because cannot feels more precise, more correct.
But in conversation, it sounds very formal, like you're filing a report. In real life, we'd say something like, I don't get it, or I'm not following, or sorry, I'm a bit lost.
Or even just, what do you mean? Which is short, natural, and keeps the conversation moving.
The word cannot has a very strong, formal feel. In everyday speech, can't is almost always used instead. Even I can't understand sounds more natural than I cannot understand.
And what I notice is when learners say I cannot understand, native speakers sometimes interpret it as frustration, like the learner is giving up or being firm about something.
Yeah, the tone can shift completely just because of that word choice. So in all 5 cases, the textbook English isn't wrong. It's just, it sounds a bit stiff in real conversation.
That's the real core of it. It's not a grammar issue, it's a register issue. You're using formal language in a casual moment, and it creates a little friction.
And that friction is why people sometimes feel like their English doesn't land, even when every word is correct.
Okay, let's listen to today's dialogue. Kenji is having lunch with Amy. He's been studying English for years and has really solid grammar, but he's starting to realize his English might sound a little more formal than he intends.
See if you can spot the moment where Amy helps him shift from textbook English to something more natural.
Ami, I tried the pasta today. It is very delicious.
I'm glad you like it. But hey, that sounds a bit stiff. We'd usually just say, this is so good, or this is really good.
Oh, really? I learned delicious in school. Is it wrong?
Not wrong at all. It's just more of a menu word. In everyday conversation, so good, really tasty, or amazing feel a lot more natural.
I see. And what about very? I use very a lot to add emphasis.
Yeah, very's fine, but we tend to use so or really more in casual conversation. This is so good just flows better than this is very delicious.
That felt very natural because Amy didn't shut Kenji down. She acknowledged what he was trying to do, be polite, and then just showed him a more natural way.
Right, and the phrase, that sounds a bit stiff, is doing a lot of work there. It's honest, it's kind, and it gives Kenji something specific to work with. Not just, that's wrong, but here's how to make it flow better.
You can actually use this phrase on yourself, too. When you say something in English and it feels a little off, try saying to yourself, that sounded a bit stiff. How could I say that more naturally?
That habit of self-checking is really powerful. It moves you from memorizing phrases to actually developing an ear for natural English.
And did you notice Kenji's question about very? That's such a common pattern. Japanese learners use very to show enthusiasm, but in casual speech, so and really carry that energy much better.
Right. This is very delicious, correct, but stiff. This is so good, natural, warm, immediate. That one word swap changes the whole feeling.
Exactly. And Amy's response, native speakers almost never think about it, that's really true. We don't consciously choose the casual version, it just comes out that way.
Which is exactly why listening is so important. Reading textbooks gives you the rules, but listening to natural conversation gives you the feel.
And that feel is what turns correct English into confident English.
Okay, let's listen one more time. This time, see if you can notice the contrast between Kenji's more formal style and Amy's more natural, relaxed English.
Ami, I tried the pasta today. It is very delicious.
I'm glad you like it. But hey, that sounds a bit stiff. We'd usually just say, this is so good, or this is really good.
Oh, really? I learned delicious in school. Is it wrong?
Not wrong at all. It's just more of a menu word. In everyday conversation, so good, really tasty, or amazing feel a lot more natural.
I see. And what about very? I use very a lot to add emphasis.
Yeah, very's fine, but we tend to use so or really more in casual conversation. This is so good just flows better than this is very delicious.
What we talked about today was the gap between textbook English and natural everyday English. And I think the big takeaway is this. The English you learned is not wrong. It's just sometimes set to the wrong volume for the situation.
That's a great way to think about it. Too formal in a casual setting creates the same awkwardness as talking too loudly in a quiet room. The content might be fine, but the register is off.
So let's do a quick recap of the 5 phrases. Number 1, how do you do? Nobody really says this anymore. Try, hey, how's it going? Or just, nice to meet you.
Number 2, I am fine, thank you. And you? Too stiff for everyday conversation. Go with, I'm good, thanks. You? And remember, contractions are your friends.
Number 3, it is very delicious. The word delicious is real, but it's more of a menu or cookbook word. In conversation, try, this is so good, or this is really tasty, and swap very for so or really for a more natural feel.
Number 4, please give me a coffee. Soften it with, could I get a coffee, or can I have one, please? The verb choice makes all the difference.
And number 5, I cannot understand. Swap it for, I don't get it, I'm not following, or sorry, what do you mean? Much more natural and keeps the conversation flowing.
And the phrase to hold on to from today is, that sounds a bit stiff. When something you said doesn't feel quite right, that's the word, stiff. Too formal for the moment.
Ask yourself, how would a friend say this? Not a formal letter, not a textbook, just a friend in a conversation. That shift in mindset can change your English a lot.
And practically speaking, try making 3 small swaps for one whole day. Say I'm instead of I am, can't instead of cannot, and so good instead of very delicious. Just for one day. Notice how it feels.
You might be surprised. It might feel strange at first, like you're being less careful, but actually, you're just being more natural.
Small shifts, big difference.
All right, everyone, that's today's episode of Ears Up English. Strong ears, strong English. Keep training your ears every day. Try the phrase from today's episode and see how it changes your conversations. We'd love to hear how it works for you.
And if you enjoy our podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode.
Join us again next time for more friendly, everyday English. Take care and keep your ears up.
Bye!